Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
What's up, Supernatural superfans? I'm Chrissy Lenz.
And I'm Nate McWhorter.
And we're the host of
Gank That Drink,
a supernatural drinking game podcast.
It's the podcast where we make up drinking game rules for our favorite episode of our favorite show, Supernatural.
We recap the episode for you and let you know how all the rules played out.
Then we let you know the drinking game rules for the next episode, so you can play along.
Plus, members get every episode early and ad-free.
With some extra bonus content chit-chat at the end of each episode as a member exclusive.
So download Gank That Drink, a supernatural drinking game podcast wherever the finest podcasts are available.
And or become a member at truestory.fm/gankthatdrink.
And when you're out there in the world saving people and hunting things,
you know, the family business.
Keep the Gank That Drink motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on,
dudes.
Hey, movie lovers, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson. We are the hosts of the Next Reel Film Podcast.
If you're passionate about films like we are, you'll love our show. Each week, we dive deep into a movie, discussing everything from the story and performances to the cinematography and score.
Not to mention budgets and awards. We have covered iconic series like Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather trilogy, examining themes of power, family, and the dark side of the American dream.
We've explored the works of groundbreaking directors like Catherine Bigelow, discussing her mastery of tension.
We've looked at heist films, great car chases, great years in film, couples on the run, and more.
Our discussions go beyond the surface, examining what makes each film tick. We believe that when the movie ends, the conversation begins.
And we'd love for you to join that conversation. Find the Next Reel Film Podcast on your favorite podcast app or at thenextreel.com.
The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Coming up on The Devil's Details, everybody poops. No, really. Paradise Lost, Book 5. Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Keenan. We are covering Book 5 of John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost. Last time, you'll remember, folks, that Satan had some doubts about his mission and performed his big show-stopping number, To Be or Not to Be Bad, to an audience of one, although he didn't know it. And he'd also forgotten to change his costume from the previous scene. You remember, folks, that was the Widow Baby Cherub costume. He finds the Garden of Eden and leaps the walls in a single bound, even though he has wings. Speaking of wings, he then goes through a succession of quick changes from animal to animal whilst he spies on Adam and Eve. You could say he's eavesdropping. But no, that's actually apt because they, Adam and Eve, are dropping some crucial plot while Satan plots in the background. Boy, that's just like a triple decker of bad joke. Yeah.
Don't worry about that, Lester. You'll get up to quadruple soon enough.
Okay. Yeah. So he's listening to them drop some exposition. And now that he knows exactly what to do, he has time, so he decides to go on a day tour of Eden, returning at night to whisper strange dreams into Eve's ear. Gabriel and the other angels find him, and after a brief scuffle in which God literally tips the scales, they let him go.
Let him go. Go.
Again, these angels are way too trusting. But Satan departs, and with him depart the shades of night.
Oh, but then he mutters.
Oh, and he departs murmuring. Right. But yeah, that is where we pick up today in Book 5. But first, let's read Milton's argument. Morning approached. Eve relates to Adam her troublesome dream. He likes it not, yet comforts her. They come forth to their day labors, their morning hymn at the door of their bower. God, to render man inexcusable, sends Raphael to admonish him of his obedience, of his free state, of his enemy near at hand, who he is and why his enemy, and whatever else may avail Adam to know. Raphael comes down to paradise, his appearance described, his coming discerned by Adam afar, sitting at the door of his bower. He goes out to meet him, brings him to his lodge, entertains him with the choicest fruits of paradise got together by Eve, their discourse at table. Raphael performs his message, minds Adam of his state and of his enemy, relates at Adam's request who that enemy is, and how he came to be so, beginning from his first revolt in heaven, and the occasion thereof, how he drew his legions after him, to the parts of the north, and there incited in them to rebel with him, persuading all but only Abdiel, a seraph, who in argument dissuades and opposes him, then forsakes him.
I thought this was persuaded and dissuades because you were in character as the baby. But that's how he spells it. I'm looking at the text. So he spells it as persuading with the W, all but Abdiel, who in argument dissuades and opposes him with the W.
You thought I had written it with plans to do the Widow Baby Cherub voice.
Yeah, and I was surprised. Why aren't you doing it? But then I'm looking at the book, and no, that's how Milton spells it.
Yeah, that's how he spells it, folks. Yeah.
That's the way I'm taught when you were like, remember the little baby angel? I was like, they know. And you're going to do it again in a minute. But no, you're not.
You're looking at the script. It's like, oh, God, he's doing it the whole...
He's doing it the whole time.
No, this is right. You blame this on Milton. This is not me at all. Yeah. I'm just a widow 17th century poet.
Milton never saw a U he didn't like enough to turn it into a W.
Yeah, right? Mm. Yeah. The letter so nice, he used it twice. So yeah, folks, that's the argument. Let's get into this poem. It is the next morning, and Milton wants us to know that Adam's sleep is like the best sleep you ever had. He is not groggy. He doesn't need coffee, no achy joints, no morning breath. He doesn't even need to pee. And this is usually how Eve sleeps as well. But when Adam leans over and whispers sweet nothings in her ear, she wakes up. But she looks terrified, and she clutches Adam and says that she's had a horrible dream. And she says, "Oh, I am so happy to see you and return to the morning. I have dreamed not of you as I usually do." I was like, all right. That someone was whispering in my ear, and it said, "Why sleepest thou, Eve? Now is the pleasant time, the cool, the silent." And so in Eve's dream, she opens her eyes, but Adam's not there. In the dream, she gets up and she goes to find him, and she comes to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and she recounts how it looked more beautiful and more tempting than it ever had before. And she's not alone. In her dream, standing nearby and also looking at the tree is an angel, very beautiful, who doesn't appear to notice her at first. It seems like he's talking to the tree and or himself,
which might be true if it's Satan. Talking to the tree.
And he asks why knowledge should be forbidden, and he reaches out and he takes a fruit and he bites into it, and Eve recoils in horror at seeing him do this, but then she also sees that he is overjoyed. He says he now feels like God, and he turns and acknowledges Eve for the first time, and he offers the fruit to her, and he says, "Here, happy creature, fair angelic Eve, partake thou also. Happy though thou art, happier thou mayest be. Worthier canst not be. Taste this, and be henceforth among gods, thyself a goddess, not to earth confined, but to sometimes in the air, as we sometimes ascend to heaven. By merit thine, and see what life the gods live there, and such live thou." So she takes the fruit and she eats it, and together they fly up into the sky so high that they can see all of creation below them. But then she turns and she sees the angel is no longer there, and she begins to fall back down to earth. So this is the first falling dream also.
This whole dream is another sign for me that this is partially conceived as a stage play. Because why are we waking up to tell the dream rather than just us experiencing the dream?
Okay, yeah.
In the text of it. So
right. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Right, like because you would have the actor like describe it, because you wouldn't be able to do like the quick transition in the stage play. Yeah.
But in a novel, in a play, yeah, we could just be in the dream. So I'm not sure why we don't see it through, because it also hurts, again, like it also hurts Eve's agency that we don't experience this wonderful, beautiful, crazy, scary dream through her point of view. We experiencing it through Adam listening to his wife tell the dream.
Oh, that's a really, really good point. Like if we were with Eve in the dream and like just Milton just said, like objectively, this is the most beautiful tree and the best tasting fruit, and it feels so wonderful, then we'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. Right?
Of course I would eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a bummer that he didn't. There's a couple of things in this book that like when we get to them, it's like, maybe I would do like a little bit differently.
And you know what I would do, of course. I get the idea that like she sees Lucifer, Satan, and he's like as beautiful as Lucifer was before, and all of that, and gorgeous. But he of course he should be a toad. Right, he should be squatting, because he's squatting as a toad outside, speaking the dream into her ear.
Right.
And so that's what he should be in the dream. Going, blah 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 blah, yeah, with his tongue out, squatting like a toad. Yeah. Absolutely. And there's a lot of opportunities here.
Right, that's how he gets the apple, with his tongue. He's like, blah.
Right, and then he takes the second one out and glop, and then puts it out at her again, like with the tongue, right? Yeah, with the tongue.
And she's like, ew. It's like, I don't want fruit from that tree anymore. That was it was a good dream. Yeah. But yeah, so she's falling back down to earth in her dream, and that's when Adam woke her, and so she explains all this to him, and I like this. He starts out. He says, "Best image of myself and dearer half. The trouble of thy thoughts this night in sleep affects me equally." So I'm like, all right, that it's like first calls her like best image of himself and his better half. Like I like that, and he's like, okay, this is I'm with you. This is like this dream affects both of us. So then next he goes on to assure Eve that she herself is not evil for having these thoughts, which I also like.
Yes.
But then he begins to explain dreams to her. And I can't decide how I feel about this, because like on the surface, it's very like, it's like, oh, honey, it was all in your imagination. Don't worry your pretty little head. But then I have to keep remembering that like he's one day older, and maybe he really is explaining what dreams are to her. But no, she said at the top of this that she usually dreams about him. So she knows what dreams are.
I know, but that's the problem too. Is like, I usually dream about you for the 2 days I've been alive.
Yeah.
And then the third time I was alive, I didn't dream about you, which is so weird. And I have to apologize to you for that.
Right. She's almost feeling guilty about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That she dreamt about Toad Satan.
Yeah. Right.
Whispering into her ear.
Right. His seductive, croaky voice. Yeah. But yeah, so like Adam basically says not to worry about it, wipes away her tears, and they both get up and they begin their daily work of tending the garden. Remember, that's their work. That's what they're doing. They're trying to expand the garden, to fill the whole world. But actually before this, they kneel and they do their morning prayer to the east, which I liked. I thought it was a nice touch. And Milton says their prayers are joyful and fun and completely improvised. Sometimes they talk to God, sometimes they sing, and it's always different. There's no structure to it. It's just this joyful overflow of gratitude. And I think Milton's making a comment here on the rigid structure we often put to prayer, right? And that, like the solemn attitude. We got to be respectful. We got to be serious and solemn and humble, right? And I like that Adam and Eve are just like singing to God and expressing their love, like in any way they think of. It's like the love of a very young child. They don't stand on ceremony. They just like express their love, right? And so Adam and Eve, they praise the sun. They call it the eye and the soul of this world, but they also call upon it and the moon and the stars and all of nature to praise God along with them. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. So Milton, I don't know. Do we know how religious he was? I guess it's a stupid question since he wrote Paradise Lost, but I mean, like how adherent he was.
Wait. Oh no, Keenan, that's not a stupid question.
No, but what I mean, I guess I don't mean religious, like how much of he was to an adherent of like the dogma of the Anglican Church. Right. I couldn't see that anywhere, but yeah, like the Anglican Church, right, was the Protestant expression in England, so against Catholicism, which of course was, criticized. One of the reasons that we had the Reformation was its rigidness, and so yeah, I wonder about that, like how much he was like criticizing Catholicism specifically, or whether this complaint he seems to have about the nature of prayer is also a complaint about the Church of England.
Could be, right?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, I do remember, right, yeah, in his early life he was studying to become an Anglican priest, and for some reason he stopped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that part of it. Yeah, because the Anglican Church is only, 125, 130, 40 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So.
So then Adam and Eve, they set to work and they're tending the garden. And we pan up above the clouds and we got God again. Milton's God, let's be clear, looking down, and with him is Raphael, one of the archangels. And Milton mentions that he was the angel who disguised himself and came down and helped Tobias in the Book of Tobit. That's the one where they were up against Asmodeus, right? Asmodeus, who also appeared in our Testament of Solomon episode. So I guess Raphael is like good with people, right? Like he's had experience amongst them, right?
Well, no.
No? Oh, right.
Because they haven't been any people.
Because this is the first one, yeah. Wow. See, that's, when Milton...
I thought you were making a joke.
No. Actually, I write that exact joke a little bit later down the page. But I just tripped over my own self just now.
These are the first people.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So he's about to find out, I guess, whether he's a people person or not.
A people angel, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, guys, Milton is making all of these references to it's like oh, and then the shores of India and it's like Alexander the Great, and it's like he's talking about Adam and Eve. So please forgive me a little bit. But yeah, so as
wait. So then he helped Tobias. Wait, yes. What?
Yeah.
How? What? Wait. No, that's not your fault. That's Milton's. So he helped. Wait, hold on. Let me pull this up in the text.
Yeah.
It says he traveled. Wait, with pity heaven's high king into him called Raphael, the sociable spirit. Okay. That deigned to travel with Tobias and secured his marriage with the 7 times wedded maid.
Yes.
Tobias isn't born yet.
Yes, I know. That's what I'm saying.
So it's not your fault. Okay. That's Milton's fault.
Yes. No.
Okay.
He's constantly making. I guess it's not. It's okay. They're not callbacks. They're call forwards.
Call forward.
He's like, and then this angel showed up, and he didn't know it at the time, but he was going to be really big in Exodus or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that just big plot holes where you can't predict Hitler. Milton.
Yeah.
Your God could see all of creation all at once, but doesn't know who the Beatles are.
Mm-hmm. There's no mention of the Beatles in Paradise Lost. But you claim that your God can see everything all at once.
It's a shame. Maybe we could have helped Adam and Eve.
Yeah. Right, guys, I don't think you should eat that apple.
That's why we wrote that song, didn't we? Help. We need somebody. Help. Not just anybody. Help.
Yep. There's a contender for the power of. Okay. So anyway, okay, so we're with God and Raphael. So God tells Raphael to go down there and warn Adam and Eve about Satan, and also to kind of like lecture them on their own free will.
So God gave them free will, as I understand it, but he didn't give them any instructions. Like any instruction book about like what all this means, and now he needs Raphael to really explain it to them, or is he more like, I gave them instructions, and that's the whole don't eat from this tree thing,
right?
But they don't understand it, so
I think what Milton's God is doing here is now that Satan is a player in this game, he's like, oh, okay, like let's go down there and remind them about free will and how you can mess up, so be careful because now like the stakes are a little higher.
Okay.
Right? So it might be easier to mess up now, so don't mess up. Yeah. I think that's what's going on. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, so there we go. So another people helping mission I get the first people helping mission for Raphael. Yeah. But I like that Milton specifically chose an angel who is known for like coming down and walking amongst the humans, right? Actually, there's going back to that story, there's a really funny bit. I think it's unintentionally funny in the Book of Tobit, where Raphael he's been traveling with Tobias for a while, if I remember correctly, and like near the end, he reveals that he is the angel Raphael, and like everyone's like and so he says to Tobias, he's like, and that one time that we were eating together, you think you saw me eating, but that was an illusion. And I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. It's like Raphael is so proud that he tricked Tobias by pretending to eat.
is this like he? Wait, so what does he mean? He was. It was an illusion. Did he do like the trick where you take an Oreo and like you go but then it's just in your palm,
right?
And then you tell a toddler like, is that what he's saying, or did he eat and then he's an angel, so something crazy happened? Because that's going to come up later too.
Did it like evaporate on his tongue so he didn't?
Right? Yeah. What kind of illusion?
Or is it as simple as what you're saying, like this little sleight of hand where he just kind of like,
right?
It's like, look at that, like,
and then he reaches behind Tobias's ear. And he goes, there it is. There's the Oreo.
Oh, is that a fish right there? Oh, it's just like, and he just like eats the length of the fish, and it's like Tobias is like, wow.
Oh, that's a never-ending Twizzler. It looks like never-ending Twizzler.
But no, apparently, I guess. In the story of Tobias, angels are understood not to need to eat.
All right. Well, Milton's going to do some stuff with that.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Yeah. And I like that he's using Raphael to explain that.
Okay, great.
Who famously pretended to eat to trick Tobias, right? Yeah, and yeah, folks. So you might think this is another tangent, but this actually figures into Milton's version of angels, and we're gonna get to that in just a bit. So Milton says that by God doing this, by sending Raphael down to warn Adam and Eve, God is now blameless of what follows, because he has warned them, told them all about Satan and how wily he is, and so now they can't lie and pretend they didn't know about it, right? Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, this is the thing that Milton set out to do in his poem, to justify the ways of God to men. Mm-hmm. But he keeps doing it so literally. He literally has God say to someone, and now I'm going to do this, and so that way the blame is entirely off me, mm-hmm. right? That's not justifying God, right? Even though that's literally what it is. It's actually, I think, the opposite, right? Whenever someone says, it's not my fault because X, it's almost always at least partially their fault, right? like he is calling this character God, and this God is defending himself with human logic, human words, and it's not even good human logic. It's Milton's logic, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I now understand why people don't like this part, this Milton depiction of God.
Yeah, it is interesting. It does feel very like juvenile every time that God says these things. Like, hey, not my problem.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what he's doing, right?
Like I was once on a set, and it was a pretty dysfunctional movie set. And there were delays and stuff, which happens, but it was a pretty dysfunctional set. And so I was in the art department, and it's kind of rare when you wait for the art department. Oftentimes you're waiting for the director, the actors, or the camera department. But so for some reason we were waiting on something else, and the cinematographer leans in out of nowhere and turns to the assistant director and says, "Hey, just want to let you know, you're not waiting on me," and then just backs off like that in front of everyone. And everyone's just like, "Ew, what a gross thing to say." But that's a little bit like what God, and that's how God comes across every time he starts saying one of these things. It's like, it's like, well, I told him, or I sent Raphael down, so I'm blameless here.
Yeah, right.
Like he's like literally he's protesting too much. Like if he, like in Hamlet, like I think he's protesting too much.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the weird thing would be if Milton, and I know in that day and age, like no one would ever like dream of pulling this kind of blasphemy, but like if he had made God into a more flawed character, like intentionally flawed character, like have him be like a little bit absent-minded. It's like, we didn't lock the gates of hell, or oh no, I should have foresaw that, or something like that, or have him be, I don't know, a little bit interested in what's going to happen, like make him be like that kind of like off kilter artist who's like, oh, I wonder how this little splash of paint is gonna work on this.
What happens if I take the ladder out of the pool in The Sims? Let's just see what happens. Right? Don't you have these inclinations? Yeah.
Okay, that's a little bit sadistic, but
no, I just want to see what happens.
Yeah. But what I mean is, it's harder to swallow here because Milton's God is taking himself so seriously. Like he's like, no, guys, I'm God. I'm like this is what I say goes, and like I am blameless and I am perfect. And like we don't, like just the character of God saying that is not enough for us. Like we would be more touched if Milton wrote him like a like an old fuddy-duddy, like an old grandpa who like forgot something, and we'd be like, oh, but deep down, like he is the ruler of the universe, and you can see why he's God. He's just got, he's just a little, like absent-minded, right?
But by the end of the 7 days, the 7 days of creation, he's tired.
Yeah.
Right. That's very interesting. I like that version.
Yeah. Right. And you would.
And as you were talking about it, like, I think another version might be like God is so, his hubris in like the Greek tragic way, right? Like, is that he loves man so much he doesn't believe that man would do this, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, I made this perfect thing, and then Raphael is going up, or any of them, Uriel, and it's like, hey, I think Satan's gonna win, and God is like, no, that's impossible, right? Because like, as infinitely bad as Satan is, man, as I've created him, is just good, and he just will not ever betray me, right?
Oh my God. Keenan, you figured it out. You cracked the code.
We did it together, Lester.
That would break my heart.
Right.
That would be like, and that would take all of the blame off God, because he believed in us. Like, he loved us. He was like, no, they'll never do the wrong thing. Like, I know them. They're my kids. They would never. And then we break his heart. Oh, that would be, oh man, dear.
And Uriel's like,
Milton,
can we put a fence around the tree? Like, no, we won't need a fence around
we
the
don't
tree.
Need,
But yeah.
He's parent blind.
Yeah.
Like he loves the kids like a little bit too much to see their flaws. Oh,
right. And if that makes him crazy, Your Honor, that makes him crazy. And lock him right up, because having his kids is like oxygen to him.
Yeah. Which he doesn't need, because he's God. And then there's that time. It's Adam was walking in the garden, and he came upon God, and hello.
One lump or two, dear.
Yeah. Oh, I like this much better. Can we just insert our version of God, our trusting, like, overly loving parent?
Hey, you could write your own Paradise Lost. I think that'd be more blasphemous today, is to rewrite Paradise Lost than to rewrite the Bible. Like, what's going to get you more in trouble with the literati?
Oh yeah, that's true, right? Like, they would, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what I could do, right? I could just lie and say that I wrote a new version of Paradise Lost.
That's right.
But yeah, okay. So Raphael has his orders, right? And so he's flying through heaven, and all the angels get out of his way as he passes, because he looks like he is on some serious business. And they're all whispering to each other in hushed voice. Oh, it's Raphael.
Oh, is
like,
he?
What's he doing? He's like, oh, it's Raphael. He's like,
Raphael.
I heard he's cool but rude.
It's better than me. I'm a party dude.
Yeah. It's a Ninja Turtles reference, folks. But yeah. You thought the hosts of the Exorcist Minute were going to say we're going to be able to say Raphael and not reference the turtles? Yeah. But yeah, so he flies to the gates, which open by themselves. Milton made special note of that. And beyond the gates, he has a clear view of Eden. In fact, Milton compares Raphael's sight to the telescope of Galileo, which I like how he got his buddy in there, right?
Yeah, he's seen it.
Still probably in house arrest.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, and he's seen Galileo's. Oh, geez, do you know this? Do you know this Betty White line? This might be too risque for our podcast.
For this show?
This Betty White line from the roast of William Shatner.
Okay.
So, not a lot of people came to the roast of William Shatner, like not a lot of Star Trek people, right? Because they don't like him, right? So Leonard Nimoy wasn't there. So yeah, they just don't get along. So it was, but Nichelle Nichols was there, and George Takei, I think that might have been it, right?
Oh, wow.
So Betty White's making fun of like how hard it is to work with Bill Shatner and everything, and how tough he is, and he says, now everybody knows Bill's nuts, but George has tasted them.
See? Did the camera pan over to Mr. Takei?
Yes.
Okay. I always wonder about that. It's like if you're ever in that situation, right? If I'm ever like in the audience and a friend of mine is winning an Oscar, or if
Right.
I've just let's hey, this is fucking imagination, so let's just go all the way.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting down with my Oscar and somebody's up there making a speech and they like make a jab at me and the camera turns to me, I don't know, like will I be good enough? Like, will I be a good enough actor? Well, I have the Oscar, so
yeah, I guess so. At that point, you have it, right?
to be like, oh, that's so funny,
But yeah.
Well, there we go. Betty White, folks.
Yeah, I was worried. You went away from the microphone for so long that I was worried.
Yeah, I was just trying to catch my breath. um, But yeah, so Raphael heads to Eden, and so there's more flying, and here Milton says, "To all the fowls, he seems a phoenix." So again, we got some animal imagery here, like with Satan, except this is like a mythical bird, right? This isn't a real bird. And also, like with Satan, Milton doesn't seem to know the difference between something that seems like a phoenix and something that is an actual phoenix.
An actual phoenix.
Yeah. Because when Raphael lands on Earth, and this is what Milton writes, he says,
right.
He lights, and to his proper shape returns a seraph winged. 6 wings he wore to shade his lineaments divine. The pair that clad each shoulder broad came mantling o'er his breast with regal ornament. The middle pair girt his starry zone, his waist, and round skirted his loins and thighs with downy gold and colors dipped in heaven. And the third, his feet shadowed from either heel with feathered mail, sky-tinctured grain. Like Maya's son he stood, and shook his plumes, that heavenly fragrance filled the circuit wide. Straight knew him all the bands of angels under watch, and to his state, and to his message high in honor rise, for on some message high they guessed him bound. So yeah, he lands and he changes his shape to his actual shape, which is a seraphim. So he was a phoenix, Milton.
Right. So was he like a phoenix, Milton, or was he a phoenix?
Yeah, I think you meant to say, Milton, that he was a phoenix.
Now this can't be like something. This hasn't changed, right? There were similes in Shakespeare's time.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Okay, this is Milton's problem.
I mean, things have been turning into other things since like the dawn of stories.
This ice has turned to water.
Yeah, right.
It's different from this ice is like water.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we know his true form. He is a seraphim,
Okay.
and an archangel, I guess. So I like that, right? I think that's separate from like the hierarchy that Thomas Aquinas proposed, right?
Right.
Because he would call those 2 different ranks, right?
Right.
In any case, he is a big deal, and the angels on Earth guarding Eden are also like, oh, guys, it's Raphael,
Oh,
right?
God, he's a cool dude, but he's rude.
Yeah. Shreddo, hide the pizza. But yeah, so it's Raphael, guys, and so he's walking, amongst them. He's passing by their tents, so they must have like an encampment, like right outside the gates of Eden. So Raphael comes upon the home of Adam and Eve just as they are sitting down to a meal, and Adam sees him first, and he's like, "Oh my God, Eve, look over there! Like, it's like another sunrise in the middle of the day, right? It must be an angel. Maybe he's got a message from God. Go to our pantry and get our best food and bring it so that we can share with our guest." And I don't know. I feel like there's a missed opportunity here for Eve to be like, I literally just had a nightmare about an angel.
Exactly.
I would like Keenan. This is what I was saying. Like I was hinting at the beginning of this thing. Like there's a couple things I would do differently. This I would have a close up on Eve as she looks up at what Adam is saying and being like, oh fuck, like what is going on? What is about to happen right now? This is from my dream.
Yeah.
And then like I would have her be like for the rest of the of their time together, I would have her be like a little wary, a little suspicious of him, right? Like something. And that way, like in addition to the dream, you'd have like a byproduct of that in that Satan has planted this seed of mistrust, right? Without even meaning to, without even knowing it, right?
Right.
But at the very least, have her mention it to Adam, and have him like brush it off, right? Have him like, give him a little bit of sin, right? Like he's not hearing her. Communication is breaking down. Right?
Yeah, that's where I have the bigger problem is like, he's like, yay, angels are here. Like, I think it's really insensitive of him.
Yeah, right? Like she literally just had a nightmare about an angel.
The first nightmare in the
first nightmare
man is about angels.
And he's like, oh, it's just your imagination, honey. Oh, look, an angel. Right? And then, but like that dinner would be so interesting, right? Because you got the angel here and she's looking at him. She's asking him questions. Maybe she brings up the tree of knowledge, right? And now Raphael's suspicious. He's like, wait a minute. Why are we talking about the tree of knowledge? Right? And now they're both suspicious of each other. And Adam's just oblivious. He's like, this fruit is great, honey. right?
Honey, I know you just had the world's first nightmare and it's about Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But you'll never guess who I invited to dinner. Robert Englund, the guy who played Freddy Krueger in those movies. Here, sit on Eve's side of the table.
Yeah. Here, you guys scoot in. I'm gonna take a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Closer. You're not framing, not framing. Closer.
But no, so none of that happens, right? But I do love what she says to Adam before she goes to get the food. So he's like, oh, go to our pantry and get the best foods, and she's like, Adam, I love you, but we don't have a pantry. We don't store food. We're Adam and Eve, and we live in the Garden of Eden. But yes, honey, I will go out and I will pick the best fruits from the best trees and bring them back here, right? And so, okay, like she doesn't say it exactly like that, but she does essentially remind Adam that they don't need a pantry because everything is just like ripe and beautiful and ready to pick at all times.
Right. So I know you just had a nightmare about you being alone and I wasn't there, and some angel told you to eat the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But while I'm dealing with this angel, can you go out and pick some fruit for us for dinner? I'll be here. You can be by yourself.
Yes. Alone.
Alone. Just get the best fruit out there. I don't know what that fruit would be.
Yeah.
Just go and get the best fruit you can find.
Just get the most tempting, delectable fruits. Right? Think decadent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's show this angel what we can do down here on Earth.
Oh yeah.
Earth in the house.
And he puts up his hands to nobody.
Raise the roof, y'all.
Oh God, I love it. This won me over. That little bit that she said. Okay, so she runs off, and Milton has a whole stanza devoted to her choosing the best fruits and nuts and berries and preparing them. And he says there were fruits from Africa and India, and basically like with the animals, they're all here in Eden. And so she gathers them all, and she makes juice from the grapes and cream from the nuts and berries, which I didn't know you could do. I thought you needed dairy, but I googled it, and yeah, it's a thing. You can do that.
Like nut creams, not butters.
Yeah, right. George Takei, what are you doing here?
So she's.
Can Raphael just be George Takei?
Yeah. Oh my. But
well, yes, Adam and Eve. I came to warn you about something. There's a very, very sexy bad angel out there.
And the angel comes forward. He's like, "It is I, the angel, here to visit you." So anyways, he's making cream from the nuts. He's like before the almond milk craze that was was on it. Yeah,
she was on top of it. Man, and I'm just thinking like that has got to be like Adam sent her out there, like it was an easy. It's like, yeah, just go grab some stuff, right? She's like making stuff. She's not like just picking fruits and like setting it on a nice little platter. She's like making cream and juice and stuff like that, right?
Well, the men talk.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So meanwhile, Adam has gone to greet his guest. He says he hopes his home and his food are fit for beings of heaven, and he bows to the angel, quote, as to a superior nature. That's what Milton says. And this is something that Milton plays with. All of the Abrahamic religions consider angels superior to humans in some ways, like their essence is purer. They can stand in the presence of God. They possess knowledge beyond human capacity, right? But in all three religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, man is the most beloved and has a kinship with God that the angels do not have, right? We look like God, right? He created us in his image, and then he made himself into our image when he became human for the Christians. The angels don't have that with God. They are his servants, his messengers, his attendants, his army, and then humans are his children.
And his heirs, I think.
Right? Yes.
Right? I know God's not going to pass away, but like that, like not just children, like they are the continuation of him.
Yes, exactly. Right. And so, so this thing with Adam bowing to Raphael.
Mm.
I've seen it in Revelation as well. John in Revelation, he encounters an angel who, provides him with like the revelations and, in the end times and stuff like that. And he falls at the angel's feet, but the angel's like, no, don't do that. I'm a servant just like you. Only bow to God. Right? And actually, I would have liked that from Raphael here. Again, another like thing that I would do a little bit differently, because Milton has read, Revelation.
Sure.
So I would have him here echoing that, right? I would have Adam bow and Raphael being like, oh, no, I'm just a servant,
Yeah, that makes sense because that's something that Satan can't deal with.
Right. He can't fathom that, right? And that'll separate the other angels from him, because like he would be like, if he was on this mission, like he would be like, Adam didn't bow low enough.
Right.
But yeah,
get down there in the mud, you mud person. Yeah, get
you
down
just
there.
go where you came from. Right. But no, Raphael just merely assures Adam that yes, his home and his food are suitable for angels, and he follows him to where Eve has prepared the meal for them. And when he meets Eve, he says, quote, "Hail, mother of mankind, whose fruitful womb shall fill the world. More numerous with thy sons than with these various fruits the trees of God have heaped this table." And you notice that's very similar to the opening of the Hail Mary. And here Milton refers to Mary as the second Eve, which I don't know what the first readers thought about that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I think about that.
Yeah. Again, this idea of we're saying some people have trouble with the Adam and Eve parts. I find them very fascinating because it's making me picture and to put into like dramatic form some of these ideas that I've taken for granted about the theology here. Like, so again, about men being made in God's image, right? So like we have created, sorry, I'm going to say this blasphemically, and then you can fix it for me. But yeah, we've created the image of angels in our image, like man.
Right.
Yeah. So if we're being told, right, that God created man and they look different than the angels, right, then our common depiction of angels are just people with modifications.
With wings.
Yeah, usually with wings, and then maybe so anything you do, like you're just adding the basic form of a person and then you're modifying it, right, to make an angel or a devil. So that's opened up ideas again that are beyond my ability to fathom. Like, so what is it really? So like, what are these angels? Do not look like God. God saved that for man specifically.
Right. That's like you would for your children, right? Like you're passing on this like DNA, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So the closest that an angel could look to God would be like the closest that like a chimp or a gorilla could look like man.
Okay. I never thought of it that way. But no, like it like I always wondered like if they were just like completely different, right? Like you see those, like it's a meme now,
right?
Yeah. Like it's a meme, like they have the like the biblically accurate angels, right? And it's just like there are a bunch of like eyeballs with wings and stuff like that, right? And I think somebody debunked that. I think they said that those are supposed to be like the Ophanim, which is different from angels. But it, like, yeah, this thing that is kind of like hammered into us from like early on in our religious education that God made man in his image. Yeah, and I like that Milton is reminding us of that when Satan first sees Adam and Eve. He's struck. He's like, they look just like him.
Right. Like you could hear that, and then but then to see it in Satan's eyes is like, oh well, that means something, right?
Right. It's like you see. It must be like seeing like part of your spouse in your child. Right. Like you see his eyes or her like the way she smiles or something like that. You see that in like the kid. Right. And I can see Satan like, being mad at God, but then he sees Adam and Eve and he's like, he's thrown off a little bit.
Yeah. Oh God, that's interesting. But yeah, it's making me like confront these phrases that you take for granted like that, or when they dramatize in movies or things about the Gospels, right? And it's like to turn the other cheek, and then you see what that really means. It's like I'm offering you not in defiance, like here's the other side of my face, punch me again, bitch, or something like that, right? So it's like actually like, no, you need my Christian love, and here's my other cheek, and because you need it, or to give the shirt off one's back, right? And it's like, well, what does that really look like? So that's really, really interesting that we have to confront those things here.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's not helping that we got these like beautiful illustrations by Gustave Doré where, like Satan and all the other angels, they look like, like gladiators, right?
Yeah. Like idealized humans again with costume, like with angel costumes and devil costumes, or
right.
Yeah. That's a good. And it makes me think of. I like Michael Crichton a lot. I grew up with him. Probably similar to like I think how you like King. Like I really like Michael Crichton.
Okay.
And a lot of my ideas about like what makes a good novel comes from Crichton, and he talks about in his book Sphere that they're going down. They found an alien ship in the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, and that they've sent a team in there. And one of the things they do right is to send a like theoretical biologist, who is like. They send people who just have a really basic idea of like, oh, there's rules to what life is like, that they might miss the alien down there because the alien might partially exist in another dimension. The alien might not have eyes or a face or things that we would track. The alien might not move in a way that is perceptible to us. Right. So like there's this example that's sort of this flashback as he's teaching his class, and he's like, you all need to design an organism for me and design an organism that you never designed before. And so this guy, when he's in school, is designing an organism, and his teacher comes by and says, well, this is all fine, but how does this creature expel waste? And the teacher's trying to teach him that, but he's like, that's not a good question, actually, because like we should be asking like, why do creatures on Earth have to expel waste? What about creatures from some other planet that involves some other way? Yeah, maybe they don't have to expel waste. Maybe they don't need to observe light in any way.
Yeah, right. That is basically the professor had asked, like, how does this creature do what humans do?
Right, exactly. Or life on Earth do,
right?
Yeah.
Right. That is very interesting. Yeah, folks. So we don't know what Raphael looks like, or what Satan looks like,
right.
But
according to Milton and Doré, they look sexy AF.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Doré depiction of this meeting between Raphael and Adam and Eve, and like Raphael, he has the wings and he has the flowing robes and everything, but he's also like he could sit across the fire from Adam and Eve, like they're the same height and they're the same. They look at each other. So it is a person. It's a personified version of an angel. It's not like, this is. I don't know if it's like, hey, we're the first two people and we're having nightmares about angels. This is not how I would depict this angel. This looks like Adam.
Yeah, with wings.
With wings.
Yeah. So, okay, So they're just about to sit down to dinner. Eve invites him to eat with them, although she's not sure if this food is fit for angels. Same thing that Adam said. And this is where things get cuckoo banana pants, folks. Because Raphael answers that, yes, the food is fine for angels because angels, like all God's creatures, must eat. And he goes on to say that not only do angels eat, but also, like all God's creatures, they poop. Yes, folks, you heard that correctly. In Milton's universe, angels poop. This is the middle of the stanza. He continues. He goes on to explain, the circle of life and the mystery of creation, how the sun, the moon, and the earth, and the air, and the sea, and they all feed into each other, and they're all part of this great, cycle. And all the time, I'm like, hang on, hold up, wait. And this is right up there with all the other criticisms, making God a character, casting Satan as your protagonist, right? They talk about creation being a crescendo, just like getting better and better with each creation. I think Milton's blasphemies are also like that. I think religious scholars reading Milton's works are like, they take it off the shelf and they're like, an epic poem in the style of the Iliad or the Odyssey, but with Satan as the hero. Okay, I don't like that, but he says he's trying to justify the ways of God to men, right? And then they get to book 3, and they're like, okay, God's here. He's saying things, and he's doing things like a character. Ooh, I really don't like that. But I'm only in book 3. Maybe he's going to turn this around. And then you get to book 5, and Raphael, one of the 7 archangels, along with Gabriel, Uriel, Michael, and the others, is talking about angels pooping. And that's when they're like, all right, okay, Milton, okay.
Take this back to the library.
Yeah. Yeah. But now, seriously, Keenan, did you catch this? And what do we make of this?
Yeah, I mean, I had to look up that what I was reading was what I was reading.
It's actually kind of hidden the way that Milton explains it.
Well, then I'm like, am I just misreading this? But
is this just my dirty mind?
No,
exactly. Not this time, Keenan.
For no, whatever was created needs to be sustained and fed of elements. The grosser feeds the pure, earth the sea, earth and the sea feed air. The air those fires ethereal, and as low as first the moon, whence in her visage round those spots unpurged vapors. And I was like, vapors? And I was like, no, it's not vapors.
No, it can't be.
No. Unpurged vapors not yet into her substance turned. Nor doth the moon no nourishment exhale from her moist continent to higher orbs. I'm like, moist continent? No, I'm just being dirty. No. The sun that light imparts to all receives from all his element recompense in human exhalations. No, human exhalations. So after 3 or 4 of those and looking them up, I was like, okay, yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yep. And like even before that, right? So that's the second part of the stanza, right? But even before that, he directly says like, yes, we intake food and we he uses the word digest.
Yes.
Right. And he says we assimilate the useful stuff from that food. And I'm like, and what do you do with the not useful stuff? What do they do, Milton? Where does it go?
So do you know how?
And we're not crazy, okay? Like
you can look it up.
This is a criticism that other scholars have brought up.
They've been like they don't. Why don't they like that the angels poop?
Because they're freaking angels.
It is a lot of.
They don't need to eat. They don't need to poop.
Answering questions that no one was asking.
Yeah.
Like because even if we're like, oh, angels eat, because even angels eat manna, right? In some other, but I've never thought about do they poop manna, right? And so even if they were like, we could, thank you for this fruit, Eve. I would never, ever, ever wonder what happens to the rinds of the fruit or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
How much fiber is in the fruit for the angel. So yeah, do you know canonically how wizards in J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World go to the bathroom?
Oh God. Okay. No, I don't.
They use toilets, Lester.
Oh, you set me up.
No. So this is what was no, I did not set you up. This is what J.K. Rowling, her Pottermore, which is the online book list, the online encyclopedia, that like all canon. Of a sudden in what was this 2019? Yes, they said and they tweeted, Hogwarts didn't always have bathrooms. Before adopting Muggle plumbing methods in the 18th century, witches and wizards simply relieved themselves wherever they stood and vanished the evidence. So nowadays they go nowadays. So I mean, it's in the 1700s, so a little bit after Milton's day, they start like, oh, the Muggles have plumbing. We should do plumbing. That's much better. So before that, yes, they would drop like animals. Is how I'm reading that. And they're like, oh, I dropped myself, and then they would Pupium Vanisheria or whatever. Yeah.
Now I'm just seeing it's like wait, hang on. That's 7 points from Gryffindor. And then he just walks away and there's this little trail of pellets. And he just flings the wand behind him and it all vanishes.
Harry, did you put your poop in the goblet of fire?
Wait. Let's be book accurate here. Dumbledore said calmly.
Harry, did you put your poop in the goblet of fire?
I didn't know where we were going to go on this book of Paradise Lost.
Well, Milton brought it up.
Yeah, no, he totally did.
All right, so I know this is not Harry Potter, just to stave off any emails right now, but.
Right.
But then there's, you shall not pass. All right.
Yeah. Gandalf doesn't poop.
No, I don't think he does.
No, he's an angel, which don't poop, Milton.
Yeah, Balrogs poop.
They do they ever? Yeah. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so no, you're exactly right, Keenan. It's a lot of answering questions that nobody asked, which is funny because I misremembered this part of the story as Adam kind of like bothering Raphael and asking him all these questions about angels, right? Mm-hmm. But no, this is all on Raphael.
Yeah, I guess right. It would be Adam's job is to sort of ask questions and understand things.
Right. But he like all Eve said was like, "Oh, I hope this food is good enough for angels."
Like, well,
and
let me tell you.
It's the exact same thing that Adam said, like going out to like meet him in the field, and he was like, "Yeah, of course it's good for." Why didn't you just say the same thing?
Oh, you think he's one of those creeps? He just likes telling women about his bodily functions.
Well, and that's why he didn't do it with Adam, but he did it with Eve.
Exactly, the exact same. You're right. The exact same question.
Yeah.
Two very different answers.
Yeah. What we're going to get, actually, we might have some evidence of that a little bit further down the page. We'll see, actually. Yeah, folks, let's keep that in mind, like how he differently addresses these two.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so they begin eating, and Milton, he's still not done. He doubles down. He's like, yeah, Raphael sat there and ate with vigor and hunger. Why should this be surprising? So he knows it's surprising. He knows what he's doing is shocking. And then he's like, so just remember, while they're eating, Eve is naked. And oh boy, if there was ever a time when angels could be excused for lusting after human women, am I right? He doesn't. No, he doesn't say am I right. But no, he's referencing the book of Enoch, where the Watchers, remember, they had sex with human women, and he's basically saying, man, if those human women looked like Eve, standing there all naked. Milton, are you writing the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet? Greatest epic poem in English literature, folks.
Right. There's fan fiction, and then there's fan fiction.
Yeah, right. It's like trying to ship Raphael and Eve over here.
That's right.
Okay, another big heresy he commits. He has Raphael say, everything comes from God, and eventually everything will return to God. And you guys down here and us angels up there, we're made of the same stuff. It's just like a difference of density. We're much lighter, and you guys are more compact, right? And I'm like, okay, this is new. So all creation, including angels, are like part of God, like with the same like God ingredients. We're all just like one big jelly, and the only thing that separates us is like a spectrum of density. Okay, folks, let's remember why Raphael is here. Okay, it's not to talk about poop, and it's not to stare at Eve, which he doesn't do. That's Milton being gross.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well.
So Raphael isn't even lusting after Eve. It's
No.
just, oh, I see.
It's literally just no. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry if I threw Raphael under the bus for that. No. Because we were piggybacking off of like him being gross before.
Right.
But no. Like it was he's just sitting down and eating, and it's Milton who dips in, and he's like, oh, and by the way, like you may have heard another story about like an angel having sex with a human woman. Well, this one's naked, so. But then he's like, oh, but that doesn't happen because,
right.
Because Raphael's a good guy.
Yeah, we try to convince Milton.
The pizza? Yeah. I'm proud of how fast I was with that. But yeah, folks, the reason Raphael is here is to explain free will and to warn them about Satan, and also explain who Satan is and how Adam and Eve fit into the whole story. And I guess you could make the argument that like if it really is as he says, like that all things are part of the substance of God, then like to explain one thing, you got to explain all of it. So maybe Raphael thinks it's like, okay, to warn them about Satan, I got to tell them his origin story, but then I got to explain angels, and to do that, I got to explain, that we're all the same. So maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Like it, but again, it feels like he's saying a lot of things that don't need to be said, and he's forgetting his mission of why he's here. But then, okay, let's listen to what he says next. This is Raphael. He says, time may come when men with angels may participate and find no inconvenient diet, nor too light fare. And from these corporeal nutriments, perhaps your bodies may at last turn all to spirit, improved by tract of time, and winged ascend ethereal as we, or may at choice here or in heavenly paradises dwell. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that sounds exactly like what Satan says will happen if you eat from the tree of knowledge. Like exactly. And maybe that's what Milton is trying to do, right? I don't I don't know for sure if it is, but you could make that argument that we got Raphael contemplating over here, right? He doesn't know that this will happen, right? He's just like waxing philosophical, right? But Eve has already had a dream where an angel said this exact thing, right? Like, eat this fruit and you're going to become like a god, right? And she's going to meet a talking snake who says the same thing, right? With proof this time, right? Because the snake can talk after eating the fruit, right? So he says. So I like that. You got the dream, and then you got this hypothesis from Raphael, and then you got the experiment and the results from the snake. So it could be that Milton has Raphael saying this really stupid and really dangerous thing to better explain Eve's decision. Like now we're reading it and we're like, oh, I can see how she was tricked, how anyone would be tricked, right? After all of that like evidence, right? But again, Eve is very silent here. She almost disappears without any description or dialogue, right? It's just these two guys talking. I would have loved to see a character beat where we see her reflecting on all of this, right?
Well, it would also be nice, as a novel or a poem rather than a play, where Eve could hear all this and then we could hear her thoughts potentially and be like, she decides not to tell him about the dream she had where this was, being said.
Yeah. Maybe she hasn't told him yet about the dream and she's like, oh yeah, maybe I'm going to keep that quiet now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I would have liked to give her the next line, this one that Adam is about to say. He's like, well, all this sounds great, becoming like angels and eating with the angels, but like you said you came here for a warning? And here is where Raphael is like, yes, okay, great. Now we can talk about free will and sin. So then he says, okay, quote, God made thee perfect, not immutable, and good he made thee, but to persevere he left it in thy power. Ordained thy will by nature free, not overruled by fate. So he says, you guys are good, inherently good, but God gave you the power to sin, so be careful, right? You're not ruled by fate. You're not ruled by like destiny. You can change your futures at any time, right? And this can be dangerous. And as an example, he gives a very brief account of how Satan, who was once an angel in heaven and also had free will, rebelled against God and was cast into hell. So he's like, don't be like that guy, right? But Adam completely misses the point. He's like, wait, tell me more about the battle in heaven, right? That sounded really cool. And Raphael pauses and he's like, you mean all of it? Like from the beginning? And Adam's like, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it was high production value.
Yeah. But no, like really, like in the poem, like he pauses, he's like, Raphael's like, you have asked me like an impossible task. Like not only is it really, really long and detailed, but it's also really, really, I was a soldier in that war, dude. Yeah. But he's like, no, it's like, this is, I can't refuse, like basically he's like, I can't refuse a child, this innocent question, right? So yeah. But Raphael also says that's going to be really hard because our world is not a direct translation of your world. So I'm going to have to use some like similes and metaphors, just not the way that Milton does, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so like he's about to tell the story of the battle in heaven, but he wants Adam to know that when he describes it, he's going to use a lot of human words like army and battlefield and armor and spear and even cannons. Spoilers, guys. And it's not exactly the same up in heaven. He's just using these words because they're the best, description that he has. But Keenan, here's my question. What the hell does Adam know about cannons or spears or armies or battlefields, right? He doesn't know them from Adam,
or even battle, like even just the idea of battle, right? They don't.
You're just gonna trample all over that joke that I just did.
I laughed at that joke.
Okay,
go back, listen to the tape.
Yeah,
I laughed.
All right, okay.
But even the idea of like they don't hunt animals. I mean,
right?
Yeah. So any of this is so outside of his understanding.
Right. Yeah. So it's weird because it's almost like this is Milton saying to us that the battle in heaven is so epic and awesome, but also different that even using words like spears and shields and cannons and phalanxes and legions, like that's not. It's like it's even better than that, right?
It's like how you don't have locks on your doors. No, what is a lock? What is a door?
Yeah,
we have no need for such things.
Yeah, you should get a door.
Why?
And then you should get a lock.
Why?
Yeah.
So you can understand this metaphor. It's very complicated.
Because the devil is out there. What is the devil? But
But okay, yeah, let's look at this flashback that Raphael gives us. He says, "Before the earth was made, God called all the angels to him to announce that he had created his son, capital S son, on whom he bestows all his own power and authority. He puts the son in charge of all the angels, and he says, to disobey him is to disobey me." And all the angels rejoiced, and they all seemed to be happy with this. And the rest of the day is spent dancing and singing and celebrating, and there's like a big banquet. And then night comes, and Raphael / Milton dips in here. He's like, "Oh yeah, like heaven has day and night." But he's like, but it only gets as dark as twilight up in heaven, right? But yeah, so night comes, and
so
all the angels,
that doesn't sound like night to me. So is night a metaphor here, Raphael?
I don't know. Keenan, it's like night.
Nothing's like night.
It's as dark as night.
All right. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Except it's not.
Except it's twilight. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway.
All right.
So all the angels are they've set up camp, and they're sleeping in these battle tents. I don't know why. There's no battle yet. Unless maybe they're still like treating chaos like another nation, and they're like occupying it. Maybe.
And yet this world was not, and chaos wild reigned. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So they're like so you like. If we're reading this correctly, it's almost like creation is a war.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Against chaos.
That I could buy. Or and then whatever these encampments really are, and these swords really are, is some unfathomable angelic thing that they do to tame the chaos.
Right.
All right. I could deal with that. Okay. Great. That's helpful to me. Wonderful.
Yeah. But yeah. So Satan's still up, and he is thinking about this new, son, capital S, and he is not happy because Raphael says Satan, was one of the first, if not the first thing created. I like how even Raphael doesn't know exactly, right? Like whether he's the first or just like one of the first, right? So Satan wakes up his second in command. Remember, this should be Beelzebub, right? From book 2, although we don't get his angel name here.
Right, because Satan is his devil name and Lucifer is his angel name.
Exactly, yeah, right? So we don't know what Beelzebub was before he was Beelzebub, yeah.
Okay, so this is Beelzebub. I didn't put that together, but I think I get that now.
Well, I could be completely wrong. It just says he wakes up his second in command.
Yeah.
I assumed that was Beelzebub, right? From book 1 and book 2.
Right.
So Satan says, "Sleepst thou, companion dear?"
Companion dear, listen to yourself, Satan.
Yeah.
He's been right in front of you.
Folks. And that's Milton. That is Milton's pen.
What are you running from, Satan? What are you fallen from, Satan?
Right. But yeah, he says, "Sleepst thou, companion dear? What sleep can close thy eyelids?" Right? And he says, so he's saying, how can you sleep after what just happened today? I know you. We have the same mind, right? We're almost one. We gotta do something about this. Gather all the angels under our command and tell them by my order that we are all heading back to our lands in the north. Okay, so I guess there's also regions in heaven, and Satan had control of the north. Maybe that's why the tents.
Okay.
Because they're far from home. They travel to this coronation of the sun.
So the rebellion isn't just from the entire class of the higher ups. We've established that before. And Satan is Satan's like, oh, maybe it's just because I was highborn, but no, other highborn people didn't do that.
Right.
So maybe it's geographical, which would make more sense in Milton's understanding of war, right? Yeah. It's not a class war; it's a geographical war, like traditional war.
Right. He's writing this section, and it's sounding very, very much like some kind of like historical drama, right? Like Satan is like a captain of some army or a general, and he's gonna go, he's gonna betray the king, right? And he's getting like the angels under him are loyal to him, so like they're gonna follow him into this like rebellion.
Right. This is like Alexander or Achilles or some other great warrior of the past who's in love with their second in command and can't admit it to everybody.
Exactly, right? And that's what happens when you're not honest with your feelings, folks. You draw 1/3 of the sons of heaven with you into eternal torment.
And then you leave Beelzebub down there.
And you leave Beelzebub. You learn nothing, Satan.
We were as one.
Yeah. That was God trying to teach him. He's like, hey, like you can find heaven again.
Heaven's not a place. But like Satan's just too literal. He's just like, I got to get out of hell. Right?
Both waking, we were one, he says.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
I don't think I'm making too much of a stretch here. The more that we're reading this, okay.
There's more. It's harder to find the poop in this book than it is to see, obviously, like the relationship between Satan and his second in command. Right here.
He's in love with Beelzebub. He doesn't. Maybe he doesn't know it.
Right. And that is his downfall.
He's not writing that about Moloch, I tell you that.
No.
Doesn't call him child sacrifice oven deer.
Right. Yeah. Right. He's not like talking to Mammon, and he's like, it's like, I love a guy with a fancy car, Then Mammon's like, what is a car? And he's like, you don't get me. Going back to Beelzebub. Yeah. But yeah, so he wakes up. He does a lot of whispering in people's ears.
Yeah,
also.
That's his thing.
Like he's whispering into Eve's ear as a toad, and he's whispering into Beelzebub's ear, right?
Mm-hmm. Like someone who's in love with him.
Yeah, right. He seems to be in love with Beelzebub. He is. He whispers in his ear much as a lover would do,
right?
In the style and manner. Yeah. But yeah, so they get their angels, right, which I guess accounts for like 1/3 of all of heaven, right, and Satan's like, okay, we're going home early, right, and they all pack up and they head to the north of heaven, which now I got to put that in my mind. It's like a nation, right, and it's got like regions,
right.
And so Raphael breaks in here and tries to like press upon Adam like how much all of the angels loved Satan. And he says, for great indeed his name, and high was his degree in heaven. His countenance as the morning star that guides the starry flock, allured them, and with lies drew after him the third part of heaven's host. And I like that he's deliberately not saying Lucifer, but he's dropping these hints, right? He says he was like the morning star and he led all the other stars.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, folks, God sees all of this happening, right? It's another comedy hard cut to God's throne, and he's just watching a third of his angels sneak away under cover of twilight, right? And he turns to the sun, and he's like, "Okay, prepare for battle."
Yeah, so they're just like watching TV, right, in their Barca loungers, and they've got the game on, like the basketball game, but they do have Satan and Beelzebub in picture in the corner, so they can see both of them, but definitely smaller, less important than the game.
Yeah, right. So God's like, "Prepare for battle." And the son's like, say less, fam. And because they are the same and of the same mind, they both do the finger guns at each other. They're like, hey.
Is it say less me?
Oh, well. I think that's the finger guns.
Right. They're more than fam, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, right? Yeah. But it's like, yeah, so the son is already doing the dad jokes.
I fam, he says to Moses on the mountain.
Right. But yeah, so from here, we get another cut, and we are in the north of heaven, and all the rebel angels are gathering at the palace of Lucifer. Here is the first mention of that name. Although even here, Raphael says that's only the best human translation of Satan's angel name.
Oh, okay.
So we never actually hear it. And this, and also this palace is huge. It's got like pyramids and towers of like diamond and gold, right?
And now he's living down there in a teeny tiny one. Yeah,
teeny tiny little like personal pandemonium. How did we never do that?
Oh, just my personal size.
How is that coming up in book 5? Personal pandemonium, guys. Oh my God.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so Satan's gathering them all together, and he does his thing. He makes a big speech about freedom and how God is a tyrant, and how now the son is usurping them, and how they're the sons of heaven, and they were here first, and how they should like at least be equal to the son, right? Like who just got there, right? And everyone is eating it up, right? Everyone except one angel, a seraphim named Abdiel, whose name literally means servant of God. I don't think he's anywhere else in any religious texts. I looked and I couldn't find him. I think he is an invention of Milton.
That's what I believe as well. There is the Demonic Paradise Wiki, so you can go there and Abdiel's Wiki, like because most of the other ones you click on them and they show their corollaries in the Bible and things like that.
Right, yeah. But Abdiel they just mention Paradise Lost.
Yes. So
wait a minute. The Demonic Wiki?
The Demonic Paradise Wiki.
Are they saying he's a demon?
No. This is the Paradise Lost Wiki, I think.
Oh, I see. What you mean?
Yeah.
The Paradise Lost Wiki. Yeah.
Angels, demons, elementals, etc. It's everybody in here. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
But all right, I've been waiting for Abdiel to come up because because I. As you know, to get ready for even an hour and a half one of these episodes, I read cliff notes of what I'm about to read.
Yeah.
Then read what I read, and then Lester tells me what they mean, and then I listen to the show, and I'm just catching up now. But Abdiel becomes a big deal, and he becomes pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, later on. So
right. I really like. Yeah, there's going to be like a callback to Abdiel, which is really, really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would be a crowd favorite in the movie version for sure.
Oh yes, he would be played by who would it be?
Oh, kind of like Sean Astin, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. He would be Abdiel would be Sean Astin, right? And when we see Abdiel again, like I think it's in the next book. It's like everyone says, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so right now, like this is our first introduction to him. He is a seraphim, like we said, and he speaks up, like. In this crowd of angels who are just like eating up Satan's words.
Right.
And alone he says, "O argument blasphemous, false and proud, words which no ear ever to hear in heaven expected, least of all from thee, ingrate in place thyself so high above thy peers." So Abdiel says, like, what? Are you going to like teach the law to God? God made the law and he made you. And he calls Satan out. He calls him a traitor. And he says that all of them should go back and beg forgiveness before it's too late, right? And this is like, Milton is building this up because like he is, not among friends right now, right? Like he is alone in this, right? He says all this, but nobody seconds him. All the other angels are silent. And Satan's up there and he's smiling and he says, "Oh, so God made all of us. This is new. This is very interesting. Please go on. Tell us where you heard all of this. Do you remember being created? We'd love to hear about it. Do you have any proof of this?" And he's like, "Nah, we made ourselves and we're going to defend ourselves. And if you don't like it, go back and tell them we're coming." And now all the angels cheer, right? But alone in the crowd, Abdiel replies, "O alienate of God, O spirit accursed, forsaken of all good, I see thy fall determined." He says, pretty soon you won't have to worry about serving in heaven anymore. And he says, "For soon expect to feel his thunder on thy head, devouring fire. Then who created thee, lamenting learn, when who can uncreate thee, thou shalt know." So he's like, yeah, you'll find out who made you and who's going to unmake you.
Yeah, he brought you unto this world and he could take you unto out of it.
Unto out. Yeah. Even Abdiel has a little bit of trouble. He's like,
so Milton is clear that he remains the only one of this group that is opposed to Satan.
Exactly. So
Satan convinces every single one from the north, but not Abdiel.
Right. So I guess Abdiel was under Satan and Beelzebub's command. Like he was like one of the angels in their charge, and yeah, he's the only one. He's the only one who denies Satan. Right. And yeah, folks, this is where Book 5 ends. We are still in the middle of Raphael's story of the war in heaven.
Oh yeah, and I didn't realize that. So we got more of this coming. All right.
Yeah. I'm excited. No, I'm excited. It is about to go down, folks. And this book ends with Abdiel alone in a sea of rebel angels, turning his back on Satan and walking away. And we will pick up next week with Book 6. For now, that is all of my notes. All right, well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Keenan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5 pentagram rating on iTunes or
Spotify, or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah! Oh my.
Oh my. It is funny. His catchphrase "oh my" isn't from his movies or shows. That's from Howard Stern embarrassing him so much on Howard Stern's show that he's just
really?
Said, "Oh my." Yeah, it's not a "oh my" in a good way.
But he's kind of like adopted it as that, right? Like
yes, absolutely.
Like he's taken it and like he's owned it and he's like made it a thing. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He has like the best voice. Like he has it just really goes down. I can't even do it. Like, you know. He gets down there.
Yeah. Howard Stern was embarrassing him and saying that he has such a deep voice, he must have a big something. And George Takei, who had no idea what Howard Stern's show was in the earlier, it was like, oh my.
Man, George Takei can't get a break. Jesus Christ. He's got Betty White going after him.
Betty White,
Howard Stern.
I don't know where I could go with Betty White on one side of me and Howard Stern on the other side of me.
Leave him alone, guys. Right. Yeah.
Great.
He was the last thing I heard his voice in was there's like I don't know if it's like actually stop motion or if it's like computer generated stop motion. It's on Netflix. It's just called Oni.
Cool.
It's really, really cute like fairy tale with all these like Japanese mythological creatures.
Oh, cool.
And he plays it's like a school for all of them, right? So you got like the kappa and the other like monsters are all like students, and he's the teacher, and he's the Tengu, which is that like long-nosed bearded creature. Yeah,
Mr. Tengu.
Yeah.
Oh, the image I have of them are all in their human form. Oh no, there we go. All right, there we go. They got some wings, and they got all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, check that one out. Oni. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. You know the irony is that if George Takei were playing Raphael, he would he would be less crude than this angel. Like he wouldn't make these dumb poop jokes.
No.
and talk about like Eve's like, you know, whatever, fruitful womb or whatever. He'd be like the epitome of politeness.
Right. Let's not let things go cuckoo bananas.
And he makes cuckoo bananas sound sexy. Jesus Christ.